take myself off of speaker view real quick. Um, yeah, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here, to be in this space, holding a space in this way. I'm curious if you don't mind, you don't have to do this, but if you feel called, I don't know if people are able to use the chat, but if they are, yeah, cool. Um, what you coming in with? And just kind of just checking in, noticing what's present, and um, I know when I take a breath and allow kind of loving, curious presence, attention to um, arrive, I feel, yeah, well, tender and nervous and um, excited and yeah, grateful. How about you? What's happening for you? What's you coming in here with today? Some heartache, anxiousness, gratitude. Thank you. Yeah, sweet. Well, um, some more folks coming in, some openness, needing a break. Yeah, in all the ways, striving, excited, curious, open, sore body, open mind. Thank you. Mm, happy, excited. Yeah. Sweet, whatever it is that's present, know that it all belongs. Like the invitation, the welcome of you individually into this space, but also really a deep invitation and welcome to all the parts of you. Uh, Anxious, excited, open, sore, striving. I just know this as for me, these kind of spaces are not another arena for self-judgment and not another place where we need to alienate any parts of ourselves. I see mindfulness as inherently um, anti-oppressive, like it's inclusive, like there's nothing that doesn't belong. You know what I mean? So, um, whatever that's worth, and um, and it's interesting. I just coming off of this retreat in Big Bear, and it's the first time I've ever left such a container to for a few days afterwards, having like the biggest kind of natural disaster out in LA with the fires and this in this midst of this climate crisis and just being from born and raised in LA, my whole I just moved up to the Bay about I don't know 12, 13 years ago and um so yeah, just a deep sadness for the places that I've lost, friends and family and the kind of degrees of separation and how much loss and grief there is in the air and um but I've also been taught, thanks Mr. Rogers, to like look for the good and look for the helpers, and so this supports my the balance and holding this kind of equanimity. Um, yeah, as we trudge along together. Um, Let's see. I'm going to offer a practice. I'm going to read something from Alice Walker's book, We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For. I'll offer, we'll sit for about, practice for about 10, 15 minutes, really mostly just a supporting of our nervous systems rejoining planet Earth, right? Rejoining the gravitational field. And then working with some equanimity, and I might speak to that. I don't really know what will happen. And but I will say this, that whatever I say and any instructions I give, any kind of thing, if it doesn't resonate, let it go. And um, if I say anything that goes against the deepest sense of what feels true for you, I'll invite you not to just let it go, actually, to find me, to kind of get me into, because I want to know and I want to listen and I want to understand. And I think there's really important that in this kind of listening, speaking, if I had it my way, we'd always be in a circle, and so like, but just the mutual respect, um, and involved in this. And so I'll do my part in trying to keep the self-ing out of what I offer. And then the invitation is to, yeah, find me if my deepest intention is to not cause harm. Um, and if what I offer impacts you in a way that doesn't feel good, I want to know. Yeah. All right. You can kind of start getting into your meditative posture, whatever that looks like, settling in, finding a way that to position your body that feels good, and sometimes, I have such a, sorry, I know you can't hear it. This is my dog's like snoring really loudly. Um, I um I like to even just take a moment to actually just ask my body what it needs. Right? So I'll invite you to like inquiry. What do you need, body? And we listen. And we might have to filter and sift and make our way through conditionings around what it's supposed to look like and how a good meditator is supposed to be postured. And we sift through that and find our way into liberation and freedom and to actually, yeah, listening to the soma and the body. This is your introduction. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. Try as I might, I cannot find a more appropriate opening for this volume. It helps tremendously that these words have been spoken before, and thank you to Charles Dickens, written at the beginning of a tale of two cities. Perhaps they have been spoken, written, thought an endless number of times throughout human history. It is the worst of times because it feels as though the very earth is being stolen from us, by us, the land and air poisoned, water polluted, and animals disappeared, humans degraded and misguided. War is everywhere. It is the best of times because we have entered a period, if we can bring ourselves to pay attention, of great clarity as to cause and effect. A blessing when we consider how much suffering human beings have endured in previous millennia without a clue to its cause. Gods and goddesses were no doubt created to fill this gap because we can now see into every crevice of the globe and because we are free to explore previously unexplored crevices in our own hearts and minds. It is inevitable that everything we have needed to comprehend in order to survive, everything we have needed to understand in the most basic of ways will be illuminated now. We have only to open our eyes and awaken to our predicament. We see that we are, alas, a huge part of the problem. However, we live in a time of global enlightenment. This alone should make us shout for joy. And letting the words settle maybe as they reverberate the heart and mind. And setting an intention for our practice using the mind in an intentional way. What are you practicing for? Maybe a little bit deeper inquiry is so, who are you practicing for? And in the beginning, middle, end, we can have this aspiration, this wish that any merit from our practice, yeah, gets sent out to these beings so that they too have the resources that they need to support their freedom. And offering ourselves some appreciation and kindness, or answering the call to take our warrior stances in the midst of all the things, to cultivate wisdom and compassion, and sending that love, that kindness out to the Sangha, to our community, near, far. If I say anything else, maybe a couple more words about posture and the meditative postures. And again, whatever is on your menu, the invitation is to begin with getting a sense of some spaciousness internally and really allowing gravity to do its job, gently kind of hugging the body down and allowing um, the insides, the muscle, tissue, organs, nervous system to settle, relaxing what can be relaxed in the body as this is happening, honoring the wisdom of the body where it might be saying, not yet, to softening. Yeah, and just for the next, yeah, minute or so, really just letting everything melt down towards the earth, Pachamama, allowing the earth to compost any of the stress, worry. And it may seem counterintuitive, but this process is effortless. And there can be a soothingness to the weight and this downward movement. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to be, nothing to believe. Just right here, right now, this moment, this breath. And perhaps your attention has found its way to your anchor. And maybe that's breath and the sensations of the body breathing, or another place in the body that's pleasant or neutral, like the palms of your hands or bottoms of your feet. Maybe it's sound, an image in front of you, whatever it is allowing your attention to post there. And we're not pushing anything away, just allowing the rest of it to be in the background, allowing your anchor to be in the foreground. And again, the invitation is to get curious. I think that's what I hear the Buddha is instructions, or to get close, to get intimate with. I heard once from Trudy that it's not interesting if you're not interested. But getting interested. Like if you're hanging out with a breath, what are all the sensations that make up the experience of breathing in the body? Or can you feel your hands from the inside out? Kind, friendly, compassionate attention. We cultivate this in our own hearts such that we become the cause of more joy, more safety, less suffering. And our attitude is important. What we say to ourselves is important. And finding a balance between aversion or suppression, clinging or identification, ending the war begins within ourselves, I believe. There's a kind of deep nonviolence, deep commitment to nonviolence towards our whole experience. and noticing what's happening in this moment, wanting more, wanting less. And remembering what's being offered here is that the conditions don't need to change in order for there to be peace. Conditions don't need to be just right in order to surrender or let go. Because if you live in the same world I live in, the conditions are never just right. And so, an actual deep, radical acceptance of the imperfection mm, can be a motivation to stop fighting and just love what is. Yes, even that too. If freedom exists, it exists in this moment. It can't exist in any other moment. And gathering your attention wherever it is, bringing your attention into the contact points, feeling the support, whatever you're resting on, just resting on the earth, feeling the support of the Sangha, Again, offering ourselves some appreciation, gratitude for answering the call, and offering out any of this merit, anything that, any goodness, whether it's just a pause, an intentional pause, or some insight, clarity, some more spaciousness in the heart, mind. And may any goodness that come from our work, from our gathering in this way, may it not only be of benefit to us, but to all beings. And let's keep it real. Let's, folks in our homes, this is for you, actually. Folks in my neighborhood, in our neighborhoods, this is for you. Our allies and our comrades, this is for you. For the folks out there who are in so much pain, so much fear, so much confusion. They don't know what to do with this pain, and it spills out onto the people around them. This is for you. And for the folks being spilled on, this is for you. May all beings, including ourselves, be at ease, even when things aren't so easy. May all beings, including ourselves, be happy. Really allow ourselves to be happy. And may all beings, including ourselves, continue to do this beautiful, sometimes arduous work to be free. Thank you for your practice. The metaphorical bell has rung, if you're used to hearing that. I remember this one time this meditation, pretty early on, I don't know, 5 years. I was on a retreat and I'm suffering, it's a long sits and I'm aching and I'm just like leaning out. It's like, when is that? Did they lose track of time? Like, is he trying to cause suffering? Um, and he's like he freaking heard me. Like, the bell has already rung. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The bell's not ringing. But eventually I understood it and it was just like, oh, what actually changes? Right? What actually changed? It's like, oh my, there was like this softening that can happen. It's like, oh, anyways. Um, welcome. Lovely to be here with y'all. It's 12:37. I don't know. Let's see. So I think what's alive for me right now is one, it's like what I may not get too much into, but is like grief and finding spaces to actually time to, realistically, it's like chunks of time throughout my week, and rather than, maybe if I'm on a retreat or whatever, but to like grieve, because in this culture, my way that I see it, we don't get an op chance to grieve. No one fucking talks about grief, and it's just like something tragic happens, and we gotta pick up the kid and go to work and do the next thing, and so space to feel and heal in that way, and I think it's really important. And there's something about like taking care of ourselves. What was mentioned, I work with teenagers and I do this thing called Challenge Day and a social and emotional learning workshop. And anyways, it's like a really beautiful thing where 100 students come in and 25 adults that support them in their community. And we just go through this like 6.5 hour wild, beautiful, emotional roller coaster where, relational practices and small groups, like if you really knew me, that cross the line, like enemies are like, forgiving each other at the end. It's beautiful. We at the end of the day, there's like this kind of wrapping it up, and like, we kind of crack them open, and we really do our best to kind of put them back together again. And if you need to put your walls up, great. Um, and I like to keep it realistic because, the energy is a little workshopy, and it's like big, and it can feel like it could be easy, I imagine, for to get into this, like, just go out and change the world, and I deeply believe that our actions have a residual and an effect. And I tell them this briefly. I don't tell them to the whole story, but I heard this from a friend of mine, M, at a teen retreat that we were working. And basically, it's a story of this woman, during the Vietnam War, there was all kinds of protesting going on in different ways that it looked. And this particular woman, got attention because she would, for over 3 decades, would show up in front of the White House or somewhere in Washington and DC, and like hold the candle, right? As this kind of silent, kind of vigil. And so we're curious, we're like, a little bit like patronizing, it sounded like, and you hear the interview, it's just like, so you think this is gonna change the world? Like, what are you doing? And the way that I remember it is that she was like, no, I don't think this is gonna change the world. I'm not doing this to change the world. I'm doing this so that the world doesn't change me. And so I guess that's what I offer as some food for thought. What I mean, what it feels like when that the world changed me. There is this unchangeable um, goodness, I believe, from this Buddha Dharma perspective, that there is intrinsic value, right? That you can't fuck it up. That it's like there's goodness in here, and that the world that I live in and we live in, I see it as being intense. It's been intense. It's intense now. It's going to continue to be intense. And I know that my whole childhood, because of the structures and conditioning around what seemingly these systems want from us, and these little packages of like, this is what you're supposed to feel and how you're supposed to look and what you're supposed to act and do, and there's no permission. And so anything that fell outside of this, for me, of it could be a man box or like a whatever patriarchal whatever systems that I was in, I was terrified of my feelings, of others, of the world. And so I started protecting myself and protecting myself and protecting myself. And a deep bow to that little boy, Enrique, doing his best. And the way that I protected myself with drugs and alcohol, fighting, numbing out, escaping, like that's the best that I knew how to do. Thank goodness for that, because it allowed me to keep going on some level. So I say this all um because what the work feels like is like an excavation process, right? It feels like every time I come back with some kindness, every phrase of compassion or forgiveness, every of course moment of my direct experience, is like a scoop of dirt, right? It's just like, and it can, and it, fucking, I mean, I'm not in my usual space. I apologize for, I'm trying to catch myself. What was I gonna say now? Yeah, I've been building up a wall for a long time. I've been building this kind of, and one scoop may not feel like anything, right? It may feel like it's not even working, right? Like, what's the point? Um, but um, I want to um, express or convey that it's working, and and I know I feel like I'm being asked to do and what I offer out into to the world, and everyone has their own process around this. Um, how do I articulate this? Anger, rage, sadness, grief, uh, revenge, like all these things feel like quite normal and natural things to arise, and we get to honor them and feel them, um, and find again, say, places to do this, and to like even places to really to embody some of these things and exaggerate it to like really get it moving through. And um I don't I see have this sense of my mind is like I don't want to be the victim and the perpetrator. And what I mean by that is, one, there's just so much so many oppressive like systems, colonization, just in me. So much war going on in me. A- and so it's easy for me to want to take care of the world. That's how I was raised as well. Is like I'm good because I learned that you don't have my back, but the way that my this is gonna kind of manifest is that I got you. I got everybody. I don't need anything, but I got you, and I'll drop everything on dime to support you, and it's beautiful. Um, and I need to remember for me that it really starts here. And last thing, I'll kind of finish off with this because I really do want to hear from you. Um, I have to remember what the poisons are, and it's so easy. I'm a fighter. I've fought my whole life, and it's so easy to get into like. And I think when these young people who I'm standing on the shoulders of the wisdom of these young people, I go into schools all over the country in every single state and every single town. So you're getting a sense. I don't need to elaborate any more about that. I just know that it's an opportunity to practice in a lot of places. And I have to remember that I'm going in here teaching these, trying to have a conversation with these young people about why we separate ourselves because of our differences, right? And then I leave and something comes on the news and I'm just like, where's that mother? I'm gonna get him, right? So, um, don't let the world change you. Don't get caught in the cycle of rage and hatred and greed and delusion. Um, and here's maybe a funny little thing, and then I'll shut up and hear from you. We'll see what happens. Father G, quite a bit of a agnostic atheist, Buddhist atheist, whatever you want to call it. Father G speaks to God, and anyways, just know that that's happened here, but for whatever it's worth. And he's a great storyteller, and he's a Jesuit priest, and anyway, so um, here we go. Johnny was probably 13 when I first bumped into him, a gangly, goofy, wildly funny kid. He got into a gang, but his heart was never in it. Or, as a homie said to me once, who really wants to be a gangster? In the end, nobody. When a kid is this funny and quick, you know he's smart, no matter how he performs in school. Whatever, what did you learn in school, Johnny, that you never knew before? I asked him when he was in middle school. He thought for a beat and then said, I learned that Maribel doesn't wear a bra. I did not know that. When he came to work for Homeboy Industries is an org, um, before we before we did drug testing, Johnny returned from lunch one afternoon, his eyes all red and bloodshot. Did you blaze it, dog, during lunch break? He threw a minor fit, offended that I would ask. Um, I've been meaning to tell the pool boy, use less chlorine. Johnny is nearly 40 now, and the undergrinding mental health issues have uh, wrapped their tentacles around his ability to operate in the working world. He self-medicates as never before, and his drinking has brought him to jail repeatedly and to the brink of deportation several times. That he has managed to navigate around all these calamities is a testament to his ability to talk his way out of nearly everything. I call it pummeling. Um, he can be a fire hose of verbosity, one that I often have to cut short. Quit pummeling me, I tell him once, as I was trying to wind down a phone conversation with him. Two phrases collided in a mind meld. I wanted to say both stay up and hang in there, and these two merged into one, and it blurted out, hang up, paging Dr. Freud. This is the point right here of the story. I send him to rehab, but the benefits are short-lived and he's back at it. He is among the few homies whom, on occasion, we have to alert our security to prevent him from actually coming into the office. He can be an exasperating and even violent presence when he's on a good one. This back and forth with him has gone on for some time, and the death of his mom, with whom he had a ferocious and complicated relationship, only exacerbated things. He calmly texted me one day, "Hey dog, can me down some feria, yeah? Como si nada?" Like we hadn't been doing battle about rehab in our last pummeling session. I wrote back, "My son, for life, you know I love you. I will always help you, but I will only help you if I give you money that won't help you. You need rehab. I'll pay for it. Now I know you've burned every bridge with family and friends, but you'll never burn this bridge with me." I pushed send. His response was immediate. "Fuck your bridge." Such things can initially startle and sting. Then you settle into them like a very hot bath, and the sting becomes savor, and you catch yourself not wanting to get separated from your kindness. In no time, I'm sharing it with my counsel, and suddenly it's a new catchphrase. My senior staff homies will now hug me and whisper in my ear, "Fuck your bridge." That's my story. Anyways, for whatever it's worth. Um, what's up with y'all? Anything around instructions? Anything that I said? Any questions? Any thoughts? Any be like, nah, Enrique, I don't agree. Whatever. It all belongs. Thank you, reminder that I am the light for my life purpose. Wishing you all a beautiful afternoon. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. Nice. I'm appreciating kind of inquiry with the body. Nice. Yeah. Thank you for that quote. Yeah. Not easy. Not easy. You know. Being around a baby sometimes are really good teachers. I just had one recently. He's 4 months, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's intense. It's like, like scared straight for toddlers. Life is intense, little one. Yes, please, Steve. Hey, bud. Good to see you.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Thanks, Enrique. Um, yeah, that quote resonated with me that separate yourself from kindness. Um, recently, I make a big effort to kind of be mindful in every moment, and I've been sort of adding kindness into that feeling of mindfulness. I'm just curious if you have any suggestions on like kind of being kind in every moment. I don't know if you do something, if you practice sort of a mindful kindness or a kind awareness or anything along those lines. But yeah, just curious about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I mean, I heard a practice once that someone did. I think it was like Deepama or whatever, but I tried it on myself, and I forgot many times throughout the day. But one of her practices was like sending love to everyone that she came across that day, right? Like that's the practice. May you be at ease, may you be happy. Just like me is another phrase that I use, right? Ah, just like me, you want to be happy. Just like me, you get scared, right? Um, so whatever, yeah, so there's lots of different types of phrases for different categories of people in this kind of traditional meta with working with different people. So I think that's, and I think the joke was like, it's a very productive day, right? Like if you tried to really do that all day, just sending love to yourself and other people. I mean, now there's also the practice of what I heard a teacher call the fuck you swim. And it basically is like when he's feeling rage. And I like this phrasing also working with and being with. So being with, right, it maybe feels kind of straightforward. It's like I'm feeling something. Do I have the capacity to be with it? Working with is like, oh, I'm feeling this thing, and maybe taking my seat or whatever metaphorical seat isn't the medicine right now. Maybe I need to go for a walk or smell some roses or nap or whatever, right? So that's kind of working with. Um, but anyway, so he would go and he would have this experience and he would do literally swim to Alcatraz and then saying the whole fuck you and just really embodying just rage. And then on the way back, he would do the loving kindness swim, right? So he would like find that balance of really feeling the feelings and then dousing it with kindness. Yeah. I've tried them out. I enjoy. Again, I didn't do either of them well, but I enjoy the practice. Lots of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Any burning desires? We got 3 minutes. We can close. Any kind of announcements from your end around when closure?
Hi. Yeah, I've just got a little link to post in the chat here just to see our next week's lineup. I could just tell you also is Lori Cousins, who's teaching a retreat in March at BBRC. Um, and yeah, if y'all haven't checked out we have almost all of our retreats for next year listed. So definitely go check those out. But yeah, thank you so much, Enrique. It's been, yeah, I feel every week I feel so lucky that this is my job. So I really appreciate being here with all of you. And yeah, I don't need to post that in the chat, but y'all can head to our website if you'd like to see more about Lunchtime Mindfulness.
Mhm.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you. All right, y'all. Thank you for your kind attention. Go and live a life you love.
Thank you.
Soon. Peace.